I love horror. Wherever it's games, movies or books, there's something about watching someone go through something so scary that I enjoy a lot. And while I do love watching horror movies or reading horror books, for me the best way to experience horror is through video games. I am very well versed in the horror genre, but most of my favorite horror games are somewhat
expect this to be like,
what the hell? It always amazes me how these small sprites can manage to not only be horror RPG developed by Omori, released in the end of 2020, about 25th December if I'm not mistaken. I heard so many people talk about how great it was and I couldn't wait to play it, but it took me like 2 years. I don't know why it took me 2 years to play it, considering that it only cost like 15 bucks, but well, oops, here we are at least 2 years later. With no more time wasted, let's get into it. Our protagonist, Omori, is dropped into this white void of emptiness. This is his headspace, his place where he can escape from reality and just be for himself. There are some items you can interact with, such as a PC, a light bulb, and a cat. Oh, and also a door, but it can't be opened. You have to find a knife to the left and pick it up, which will make you be able to go through the door. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I spent way too long here trying to figure out what to do and how to get out of the door. I didn't know you had to go to the side and find a knife, so I had to look up a guide on YouTube. It took me like 20-25 minutes. Outside the white headspace, we come into this bright and colorful room that also happens to have 3 characters in it. These are Omori's friends. There is Kel, an optimistic sports enthusiast, who is a bit dumb, but he means well. Aubrey, the tough, strong one of the group, who she and Kel always fight against each other about certain things. Then there is Hiro, who is the oldest of the group, meaning he is the most mature one. He is also Kel's bigger brother. The group decides to go outside and enter the playground, filled with a lot of colorful characters and other characters.
What the fuck?
It's here we also meet Marie, who is Omori's bigger sister. She is super sweet and always there for a group if they need to heal, save or just general advice. We also get to meet Basil, who is Omori's last friend. He's just a nice dude who just wants to be friends with everyone and likes to take pictures. And he also likes flowers. You then play some hide and seek, defeat a bully and decide to go to Basil's house, look at the pictures he has taken, and everyone has a good time. Basil drops a picture and picks it up, but he seems a bit odd. What just happened? I was legit just kind of speechless when it happened. Like, I didn't know how to react. Like, are we getting into the horror so soon? This was a lot different than I expected too. And then they just drop you back into the headspace, only now there's a heartbeat? And the door, it's gone. How am I supposed to get out? I can't interact with anything. I mean, I can, but nothing really happens. The cat doesn't really say anything. And nothing happens here. Nothing with the bulb, although it's a bit darker, I noticed. What can I do? Oh yeah, I do have the menu. Oh, that's right. I can stab command. Stab. But stab who? Dark bedroom. Omori wakes up and he wants to go downstairs and get a snack. But trying to go downstairs, he refuses. He is just not having it today. So he just goes back to the room and tries to sleep again, but his hunger is just too powerful. So he goes outside the room and now there's a red ominous glow from the window and the color's a lot more dark blue in the room. Trying to go down the stairs again, he hesitates, but he still goes on despite being very, very scared. But as he goes down, shadows from the side become more and more clear, with loud whispering in the background, which also becomes louder and louder. And then a grey hand comes closer and closer and grabs Omori, and he is faced with this thing. But trying to attack it, it does nothing. Nothing works. No matter what, it doesn't take any damage, only you take damage. But after a while, it starts speaking, telling you everything will be alright. Like, okay, that's easy for you to say, you don't even take any damage. And telling you to calm down. You're like a huge monster, how am I supposed to calm down? But if you go to the skills, there's now a calm down skill you can use. And by doing so, Omori calms down. And by doing so, the monster is gone. I guess the monster wants to help Omori and defeat his fear. He then proceeds to eat the steak, but starts feeling sick afterwards and throws up. I think it's time to go to bed. Oh no, no. I'm not going down the stairs. Oh god. Alright, here it goes. Oh, it's Marie. Oh, well, damn. Well, let's open the door then. I can't let her freeze outside. Alright, time to go to bed, I guess. Going back to sleep, he gets back to the white headspace, where he can go back to his friends, waiting for him on the outside. Everyone is there, except for Basil. After last time, he is gone, nowhere to be found. No one knows where he is. And now it's up to Omori and gang to find Basil, or as I like to call it, Basil is missing. But before that, a quick word from my sponsor. Which is nothing, because I don't have any sponsors. So let's just go right to the combat of the game. RPG Maker games combat is usually pretty boring to me. And while Omori's combat isn't anything groundbreaking, it does have its own uniqueness to stand on its own. So yeah, the game is turn-based. You take a turn first with your group and then the enemy attacks after. Everyone in the party has their own strengths and weaknesses and so on. If you're playing a turn-based game, this will be familiar to you. However, Omori does put a nice spin on it, and that comes into the form of the emotion chart. So in combat, characters and enemies can experience different emotions: sadness, happiness and anger. These emotions can affect the damage, defense or speed in combat. We have sadness that increases the user's defense but lowers their attacks. However, anger will have increased attack but lower defense, while happiness will increase your speed and luck but lower your hit rate. And not only that, you can get very happy, sad or angry, which makes these effects even stronger. With this emotion chart, you have to be a bit more strategic with which emotion you want to use when you are in battle. Do you want to take less damage but do less damage? Do you want to be faster and be more luckier with critical hits but have lowered hit rate? Or do you want to do a lot of damage but have lower defense? What I love most about it though is how smartly this is implemented and how much sense it makes as to what these emotions are weak against and strong against. Happy is strong against anger, but weak against sadness. Anger is strong against sadness, but weak against happiness. While sadness is strong against happiness, but weak against anger. This system makes the combat so much more enjoyable to me. However, if there's one thing I don't like is that if the main character dies, everyone basically dies in the battle.
If I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me.
So the strategy also in this game is try not to make Omori take too much damage, or else he'll die and the whole party dies. Every party member in your group has unique abilities, but down below this bar, it fills up every time you take damage from foes. With this bar, you can do these team up attacks with other party members, like I said earlier, or you can heal a party member or cause one of them a certain emotion.
Get angry! I'm angry!
However, if it's full, you can do an all-out attack and do a lot of damage. I love the characters in this game. They're so memorable and the interactions are just as good. I have several favorite characters, with one of them being a character called Sweetheart, a super self-centered evil tyrant that thinks she's better than everyone else. She even treats these sprout moles like absolute crap, and yet they still love her. She even goes as far as to laugh at others' misery, which even makes herself feel much better. I really love her character and the design too. Another character I also loved was Jawbreaker, which by the way, very clever name. He signed a group outside of Omori contracts where they have to work for him without even getting paid. He is a bastard, but damn it, I can't hate the guy, I love him. And he also has a cool as fuck design. And then we have Pluto, who is a pretty fun character. Being tired of being a planet in space, he wants to go on his own adventures. He also loves to flex on how strong he is, and well, I mean, he ain't wrong, he is pretty strong. And then there is Humphrey, who is...
I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
I also really love the boss fight in the game, though some of them do last a bit too long for my liking, but for the most part they're really fun and provide a good challenge. Space Boyfriend was a pretty fun fight, I would say it was a pretty good challenge, and I like how it's its alternate personality who you fight against. Sweetheart kicked my ass so hard the first time. It was actually the first time in the game I had to grind just to be able to stand a chance. She was super tough, but at the same time I do love the fight and also love the detail about how by making everyone angry in the party, she gets super happy, which is a very cool detail that says a lot about her character. Also, the music is amazing and possibly the best track in the game. Jaws was a fun fight too, but I found it a bit easy. Maybe I was a bit over leveled at that point, but I didn't find him hard at all. But that's when they bring out Pluto, who uses super mega form, and oh my god, I forgot this was a horror game. I love how the game can go from being absolutely terrifying, scary concept to what is going on now. It is an awesome fight though. Humphrey was super annoying though. I mean, it's a terrifying concept of boss fight. Being eaten alive and getting digested more and more, it's terrifying. But the boss fight drags a bit too long for my liking. After the first phase, the second one goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But I can't deny the concept and visual itself made up for it. It's still a pretty cool fight, I just wish it was shorter. I also really love the look of the game, and especially the backgrounds. A lot of the backgrounds had this somewhat realistic look to them, mixed with these drawn sprites blending in, and it weirdly works really well together. The colors are also very colorful and vibrant, but the game can also get pretty dark when it needs to. It always fits the mood so well. The soundtrack is just so amazing. There's so much variety in this soundtrack. Some of the tracks are pretty chill and laid back, while others are big bangers, and then there's some that's pretty much... Yeah, I adore this game's soundtrack a lot, and I have so many favorites. I won't put them all here, but here's just a couple of them that I really love. So in this game there's also another entire portion of the game where it takes place in the real world. As I explained earlier with Omori waking up and getting that snack, you know, when he puked and just, you know, felt really sick. In real life, Sonny has kind of become a shut-in. He never goes out of his house and doesn't really talk to anyone outside of his mom. So after the next day of his dream, however, he wakes up to someone knocking on the door. But unlike before when it was during night, this time it's during the day. And here you have two options. You can either open a door or you can not open the door and go back to your room. By opening the door, we see that the person knocking is Kel. So hearing about Sonny moving away soon, Kel wants to hang out with you for the last few days before you leave. And soon we realize the gang is not like what it once used to be. When talking to Basil, for example, he is totally different than Dream Basil. In the dream, Basil was super nice, optimistic and want to be everyone's friend. But in real life he seems very scared, kinda shy and doesn't really want to do much. And then Hero, he went to college, but he does arrive one day later to hang out with Sonny and Kel, and he is pretty much unchanged. Same with Kel. Kel and Hero are pretty much the same. Still the chill, cool guys they are. But Aubrey, however, has had the biggest change. She doesn't even hang out with her old friends anymore, and instead with her new gang of friends, and it's a big bully against Basil. But like, why? What did he do? He's so innocent. What did he do? She even fights against Sonny and Kel. I also love how she gets so surprised when Sonny attacks her with a knife. Like, she didn't just hit him with a bat with nails on it. Essentially at some point the whole gang split up and started doing their own things and didn't really talk much to each other. So at some point the whole gang just split up and started doing their own things and didn't really talk much to each other after that. And why is that? Well, this is where I'm going to start spoiling a lot more the story. We're now going to heavy spoil territory. So I'm gonna put a big spoiler tag right there right now because I'm gonna spoil a lot of the story. So if you don't want to get spoiled, click off the video right now, but if you don't care about it, then you can stay, okay? Alright, let's go. So back 4 years ago, Sonny's sister Marie died by hanging herself in the backyard. After her death, Sonny stopped going to school and go outside with his friends and just stayed inside all day in his home. When it comes to Kel and Hero, as I said earlier, they were pretty much unchanged and continued life as normal despite the impact Marie's death had on them. And Aubrey just stopped hanging out with them completely and started hanging out with her new friend because she hated how little the group seemed to care about her and Marie's death and the little support she was giving during the situation. At some point we arrive at her home and you can really tell that the environment she's living in, it's not very healthy, it's not really a good environment. Her dad used to be around, but sadly he died, so it's only her and her mom living in the house. And Basil hasn't been feeling well lately due to his grandma being in the hospital. And the gang does assemble later on in the game and start becoming friends again. You know, Aubrey wants to hang out with the boys and she wants to apologize to them. Aubrey even wants to apologize to Basil for how she has acted towards him, but he is stuck in his room and doesn't want to leave. So the gang decides to have a sleepover in the living room and wait for him to come out when he is ready. And everyone has a nice moment before they go to sleep. During sleep, Sonny is back in his headspace, but this time he sees himself standing there. Okay, so going to the light bulb, we can screw it off finally and destroy it actually. And doing so will trigger a fight against the eye creature that's been seen throughout the game. I haven't really mentioned it much, but throughout the game you can see this one creature that will be following around, trying to interact with it, and it just disappears. And sometimes by just looking at it, it's gone. So now you actually fight against it. And fighting through it, it turns into every major fear Sonny has encountered in the game. Spiders, drowning, and heights. Fighting it long enough makes it transform into a person. It's very blurry, so it's very hard to see what the person looks like. The person does become more visible after some time, but it's still hard to see the face. Eventually, after a fight, Sonny has arrived at this nice and calm place with a gate opening up for him. Walking for a while, we arrive at the tree where Basil is standing in front of it. No matter how hard the truth will be, he must remain strong. Sonny is then teleported to his house again, but only now it's dark with a red ominous glow from the outside. Now he has to find some pictures and put them in his picturing book in the right order. And now he is just going from different rooms and locations, which looks pretty rad by the way. And by collecting most of them, you are able to walk outside in the backyard and walk through the gate. Walking on, you find more and more pictures and more gates that you can open up, until you walk up to the tree you saw earlier with Basil standing in front of it, but this time, and now there's a noose in the tree and a picture on the ground laying right in front of it. And picking up, now all the pictures reveal Sonny's dark secret. that he has been keeping for 4 years. One day 4 years ago, he had an argument with Marie. The same day they were supposed to go on a concert to play a song in a theater. Out of rage, Sonny pushes Marie down the stairs and kills her. Basil, being in his home too at the time, helps Sonny with taking Marie's body to the backyard and making it look like she hung herself. And that eye that's been following Sonny throughout the game, that was her eye staring at Sonny as she died. During the middle of the night, Sonny wakes up and starts hearing sounds. He starts walking to Basil's room and sees Basil staring out of the window in the dark, and it's very unsettling. Basil tells Sonny something very interesting. For Basil, Sonny was always his best friend. He kept Sonny's secret all this time without saying anything to anyone. He doesn't want to be left alone again. And soon after that, Sonny is fighting Basil in his room. And yeah, it's a pretty tough fight, I won't lie. I kinda died, almost. It was pretty tough. Basil and Sonny have a tough battle with each other, but in the end, Basil stabs Sonny's eye. Being transported to the dream world, this time it looks a lot like the real world. It's very nice and calm, almost like Sonny has been sent to the afterlife. Walking to his house, Basil is standing right outside. Sonny is still in his headspace, but he's on his last stretch on the path to finally be able to move on, and he must always remember that his friends is always on his side, especially Basil. Walking inside the house, we see Marie playing on the piano, and Marie tells Sonny that he's on his last stretch on the journey and that he's almost finally done with being able to move on, and that no matter what happens, she will always be there for him. Sonny walks into the other room that's been locked throughout the whole game, and also in the room there's a chest that he can open, which contains his violin and music sheet. The sheet with the music that we were supposed to play 4 years ago during the accident of Marie. Walking into another room, Sonny is transported to a rainy highway with some light posts working. Walking into one triggers one of Sonny's past memories with him hanging out with his friends. The same memories that are in the picture book. By the end of the road there's a theater Sonny can walk into. And inside the theater, 3 of his friends are standing there. Kel, Hero and Aubrey. Telling him that no matter what happens, they will always stay like friends. And by going up the stage, Sonny picks up the violin and tries to play the song he was supposed to play at the theater when Marie died, but trying so he starts crying and gets transported back to his headspace. And like before, he sees his younger self, but now you are fighting him. You are fighting against your old past, your old self. This is the final stretch to finally being able to move on. By fighting Omori, you're confronting yourself and fighting to be able to move on. The fight is actually really tough, and as it goes on, it only gets harder and harder. The music is also violent, which is absolutely perfect and makes a lot of sense to fighting. It's almost like he's fighting in his head and he's playing the violin, but as the fight goes on, the sounds become more distorted. Almost like Omori is having trouble playing the violin, trying to concentrate, and as it goes on, Omori starts becoming more and more red and more bloody as it goes on. I also like to think that when the music gets a lot more distorted, it's because of Marie and Sonny's arguing that comes back to his head, which makes the fight even harder for him. There are two outcomes that can come from this fight, depending on how you do it. By losing, Sonny in the dream world dies while Omori will stay alive, meaning Sonny was not able to move on. And because of that, Sonny wakes up in the hospital, walks out to the balcony, and jumps off. But by defeating Mori, Sonny is able to finally play the song. And this is one of my favorite scenes in any game ever. By playing the song, Sonny has finally moved on, and as such, Omori is no more. Also, one thing I didn't mention, that the song name is actually Omori. And waking up in the hospital, Sonny starts crying. Walking up to the room Basil is in, Sonny finally tells his friend what happened all those years ago. But there's also a final secret ending screen you can get of Basin and Sunny smiling to each other. Now, thank you all for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Peace out.